Social Network Live. We're talking to grassroots candidates running for office in races across the nation. Today we are here with David Alcorta, who's running for state representative in Texas House District 50. David, thank you for being on with us.
Thank you so much for making time to speak with me. I always love speaking with people about the campaign and the work that we're doing.
Awesome. Well, we've just been learning about your campaign. Here at the Collective Social Network, people have been doing research and diving into, candidates that, need a little bit more support. We see that you've been super supportive of the striking workers across the nation and trying to get your district involved. Can you tell us a little bit more about your race and what made you feel like this was the time to jump into local politics in Texas?
Absolutely. So I'm running in Texas House District 50, and it's a House district and it's in the state legislature. So I'd be going to Austin, in the capital there. And House District 50, I'll give you a real quick background about the district. It's a very working class, multicultural district, incredibly ethnically diverse. It's about 38% Latino, about 20% African American, and so it's a very it's a majority minority district, and it's also a working class district as well. So median household income is just over $50,000 a year. So it's very much a working district. And the reason I wanted to run is I have a background working in the service industry. I worked for over 5 years in the service industry during high school and college, and sometime afterwards as well. And I always that experience and my life experiences in general always left me with a desire to fight for things that would actually benefit working people in the state of Texas and in my community. Those policies being things such as passing a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour, paid sick leave, paid family leave. All these things are things that workers in Texas do not have any guarantee of. There are no state laws of paid leave of any kind. Our minimum wage is still the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour and $2.13 for tipped workers. So I thought it was very important that having a working class district like HD50, it's very important that someone is going to run in this district and fight for these policies that are going to really benefit the working people of this community and in the community that I live in today. So that is the motivation. And as far as why I decided now is the right time, Celia Israel, the current representative of this district, is running for Austin mayor. So it's now an open seat. So I was like, if I'm going to do it, now's the time. So that was my motivation.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like good things are happening in Texas, and not a minute too soon. I see that you highlight the fact that it's a right to work state and trying to fight up that uphill battle. As you mentioned, the working class background. Having worked in the service industry, thank you for stepping up for fellow service workers. You're also supportive of tenants' rights, and how what there seems to be these larger arcs happening across the nation, with the Starbucks workers unionizing across the nation. We see some traction with the Amazon workers, but I'm glad that you really honed in on the narrative of service workers that make up so many of the working class, working families that also go to our public schools, that are renters, that are dependent on public health care. What is the minutia which you hope to help, and locally using the seat that you're running for right now?
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important we have more advocates for the working class get elected into the state legislature, is because the role that the Texas has played recently in standing against workers. I will use the example of Austin and San Antonio, both passing paid sick leave in recent years. And every time they've done so, the state has overridden them, passing legislation saying that municipalities and counties cannot pass paid sick leave or any type of paid leave of any kind. So that is essentially, without reversing those pieces of legislation or repealing them, has left it up to the state to have to do this now, or of course the federal government. But I don't believe we can wait on that. So I believe that we need to do work in the state legislature to make this a reality, and make sure people. I mean, even now, talking more about paid sick leave. If it's not obvious at this point during a pandemic of why we need paid sick leave, I don't know when it will be. So yeah, using the state legislature, I think the state legislature is one of the great is an area that has not been, I guess, attacked enough and has been pursued enough here in Texas as an avenue to get these pro-worker policies passed, mainly because it's just been so heavily dominated by Republicans for so long. People, I guess, aren't hopeful as for the legislature to as an avenue to pass these types of legislation, and I completely understand why. It is a really, it's tough. I mean, there are even Democrats in the state who oppose these policies. So going into legislature, that presents a huge challenge, and I think now is a great time. Now, well, we have to, in my opinion, start now, going into legislature, electing progressives and people who really prioritize working class policies, pro worker policies. So yeah, that is kind of why I think it's important that we elect people to the state legislature here in Texas that are going to fight for pro worker policies, because I'm sure I don't know if you know, but you probably are. You probably could guess the state legislature here in Texas is overwhelmingly white. It is of a different generation, and it is of a completely different, I guess you'd say, income bracket. Um, uh, Attorneys is a big thing here. Real estate agents are huge in the state legislature. Ranchers who own giant ranches, and of course, people who come from, I guess you would say, oil legacy families. People whose families run in the fossil fuel industry, and who have an incentive not to pursue things such as renewable energy sources. So that is huge in the state legislature here in Texas. So it's definitely a huge fight we have on our hands here.
Definitely sounds like some dire need of working class representation. And someone that really knows what working class families are going through and what they really need. So we're waiting for you here at the Collective Social Network. How can our viewers get involved and help you get elected?
Absolutely. I think the best way is just to. I'm always an advocate for voters and for an electorate to be as informed as possible before they make a decision on who they want to support or vote for. So I would always encourage folks to go to our website, which is davidfortexas.org, and you spell out Texas, so davidfortexas.org. And there you'll see a little bit about my background. I don't really focus too much on the background part. There's a part there. It's enough to understand where I come from. I really want to focus more on the policy aspect and the policy and the platform page. I'm a very policy-oriented person, so I've put the vast majority of my efforts on that page, on that website, just to flesh out where I stand on these issues. And because I'm going to be a policy-motivated state representative if I'm elected. So I just wanted the website to be a reflection of my priorities. So that is where you can go and look at my platform and what this campaign is doing, as well as donating. When you go to the website, the top right, if you're on a browser, will be the donate button to our Act Blue, where you can donate through there. On mobile, it'll just show up at the top of your screen. But yeah, that's where you can find more information about me. I'm also on Twitter as well. You can just just search David Alcorta, and I'll be the first one that pops up. Luckily, not a common name, so it's pretty easy to find me.
David, well, that's Jose Requena here. Definitely feel that. But David, we're ready for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for these questions. I always enjoy sharing what we're about with this campaign. So I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
Thank you.